In this video, I embark on week 2 of mission improvement, and this week using AI in the form of Trophi AI in an attempt to improve my lap times in iRacing and using VR. And all this from an older gamer's perspective. Week 2 Summit Point. Welcome to Summit Point on week 2 of season 2 2025 in iRacing and the second week of my new video series Mission Improvement. If you missed what this series is about, I explain it all in this introductory video, link below, but the too long didn't read version is I am trying various different methods to improve my racecraft. This week I am in the rookies again, this time at Summit Point in America, an exciting track that has lots of tight bends and a very fast straight that's just wonderful for drafting. That's a double-edged sword, as you'll see later, but it's great anyway. This track does have a bit of elevation to mix it up, but it still is a fantastic track to race on. Using the pace analysis tool in the new iRacing UI, I can see that from my current iRating, which after last week's spotty race results, shall we say, this now sits at just under 1,300, and I'm going to need to achieve at least 1 minute 23 seconds in order to be competitive. But if I want to be anywhere near the podium, I'm going to need to find a little more speed than that. iRacing predicts a 1 minute 20 is needed on this course to be a leader. As usual, at the start of a new week, I like to put in some practice, which I usually do by using the More Ways to Race menu. However, this week I found this set the track too mildly wet. That's not very helpful, and it left me skidding around all over the place. The rookies don't use rain at all, so I changed this manually back to a dry track using the static weather option and adjusting the humidity to 0. This allowed me to practice in conditions that reflected the actual races and is something to watch out for in the future if you do use this feature. Once I got on a dry track for a practice lap, I found that I could get a fairly consistent 1 minute 22, although there were also a number of 1 minute 23s in there as well, and the occasional 1 minute 21. So this is the baseline for my ability at the start of the new week, and for this video I am going to try and improve on those times using Trophi AI and the various telemetry tools that this offers. However, I suspect that improving the older gamers' lap times on this particular track is going to be difficult to achieve, even for AI.
Difficult should be a walk in the park for you.
Analyzing lap times with Trophi AI. Last week, I looked at improving my lap times with Garage 61, which I found very helpful, especially as I was able to share my telemetry with my Discord group, who then advised me where I was going wrong. However, not everyone has a Discord group to do this with, so wouldn't it be cool if there was an AI that could do something similar? Enter Trophi AI, with software that aims to do something along those lines. Quick disclaimer, Driver 61 supplied me with a subscription to this service to try it out free of charge, but the company has no input into what I'm about to say and won't hear it before you do. At its most basic form, Trophi AI is a tool that sits in your Windows tray like Garage 61 and monitors your telemetry, and then like Garage 61 you can view your overall lap times, which in the Trophi AI interface is perhaps not as easy to do, but you can sift your way through the faster and slower times fairly well. You can't view the telemetry in the same way as Garage 61, but Trophi AI is able to overlay your inputs on a video created by one of their fastest drivers. This allows you to compare your driver's style with the faster driver while seeing a cockpit view of where on the track your telemetry could be improved. Here I select a 1 minute 22 and click on it so that the video begins to play back of the faster driver. So this is not my driving you're seeing, but the faster driver, but the overlays are both mine and the faster driver. So brake, accelerator and gear shifts are overlaid over the faster lap. I found it was best to focus on just two inputs together, as having lots up at the same time in comparison mode starts to clutter a screen that cannot be resized. Here I am picking throttle and brake and playing it back from the start line. As you can see, there are a number of times where I'm coming off the throttle too soon and perhaps being too aggressive when I come back on it, as well as times when I'm coming off the throttle when I should be going flat out. When I look at throttle and gear changes, I can see they are about the same, but I am not using first gear as much as I possibly should, and my gear changes are lagging ever so slightly behind the faster lap. And all of this is pretty cool, but I find, much like looking at Garage 61, that all this information is a lot to carry back to the track and remember, particularly when you are zooming around a corner, trying to keep the car on the track and also at the same time trying to think about how much pressure you should put on the throttle or the brake or whatever. So wouldn't it be nice if the AI could actually talk to you when you're on the track?
Come with me if you want to live.
Using live telemetry in VR. The big draw for using Trophi Ai is the ability to analyze telemetry in real time while you're on a practice lap with the software talking to you. This particular feature is called Mansell AI, which is an AI-generated voice that guides you around the track, correcting your mistakes and also letting you know when you're getting it right. I found it easier to access Mansell AI once I had a session of iRacing loaded, which on a monitor is easy enough, but in VR it's a bit more long-winded. If you are confused by what to do and how to do it with VR, take a look at this video. Once the AI widget has loaded, you can specify which corners you want advice about and also what sort of advice you want by sifting through these options. With that done, click on Start Session, at which point you can jump back into iRacing.
I'll be giving you quick advice based on telemetry as you approach or finish sectors. We need to complete a full lap before I access the data. Let's aim for improvement.
The first problem I came across is minor, in that Mansell AI counts your out lap with cold tyres as a lap to examine your racing style, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but okay, whatever. I can do a couple more laps to warm up the tyres, so it's no biggie. But the second problem is the advice that it gives is sometimes occasionally bewildering.
For this left tightening corner, brake 5 meters later and accelerate 30 meters earlier.
For example, here I am told to brake 5 meters later and accelerate 30 meters sooner, but at a speed of around 130 kilometers per hour. These types of measurements aren't that easy to work out on the fly or even really think about.
For this right corner, aim to increase your apex speed by 10 kilometers per hour.
In fact, sometimes it was telling me to get 15 centimeters closer to a corner or reduce braking by 25%. While all of these values are no doubt valid, they are difficult to quantify in actual actions by me, the driver, as I whiz round the track trying to take instructions and not crash.
On this right corner, brake 10 meters later and be gentler. Reduce peak brake pressure by 15%.
All in all, I did find the advice helpful from Mansell AI. Insightful, in fact, but the sometimes granular level of corrections Mansell AI was asking me to act on was often beyond my ability to figure out and perform while driving at speed.
On the right hairpin, brake 30 meters later and increase brake pressure by 10%.
These sessions with Mansell AI did eventually lead to a standardization of my lap times to around 1 minute and 22 seconds, but it wasn't taking me any closer to the 1 minute 20 seconds I was chasing. Not to worry though, because Trophi AI has a whole load of telemetry readouts, and if you don't like one, you can just swap to another. A search through the various options available led me to these overlays, which I was able to display in VR using the Open Kneeboard app. I won't go into how to set this up here as that needs its own video, but if you go into the settings in the Trophi AI app, then VR, there is a link here to some PDF instructions on how to get it working. I've also made a video about the Open Kneeboard app and iOverlay, so you can get the basics by looking at that. It's really not that hard to set up, and within a short amount of time, I had an overlay that displayed brake and throttle in my VR display. These display a dark line to indicate my own brake and throttle, and there's this fainter line showing the ideal amount of either input, what the AI is suggesting I should be doing. I also activated in this overlay a tone control by clicking here and setting up here so that I could hear a succession of beeps with one long beep at the end when I had reached the optimal braking point. Now, with the lines and the beeping, all of that worked really nicely for me. And approaching the corner, the beeps gave me an excellent idea of where to brake. And while braking, I could observe if I'd applied too much pressure. And when accelerating back out of that corner, I could see if I was pressing the gas pedal too aggressively or not soon enough. I was starting to feel ready to race. So how did I do?
I am ready.
Results and race of the week. This week I managed to get on track for live races 6 times. And looking at my tracking sheet, you can see I didn't manage to break through that 1 minute 20 barrier. In fact, I was mostly stuck at the best lap time of 1:22, with my average lap times looking even slower. These results do at first glance appear to be worse than last week. However, if you compare week 1 and week 2, you can see that I was achieving a better start on the grid, moving up from an average of P7 to P5, although my average finish was about the same. However, I did manage to grab a podium place, P2. Up here through luck, or at least luck for me, not so great for these cars. Moving on to my favourite race from week 2 at Summit Point. This is not one where I finished high up the pile or put in fast laps, but simply a race that for me personally was the most exciting of all 6 races I took part in. Starting from the green flag this week, I at least managed to get away on time, although one of the cars behind decided that being mid-pack, heading for the first turning, really wasn't for them. I am at P4 as we head down the straight. And as we come down the straight here towards T1, it does look a little bit boxed in, but from my point of view, yeah, I mean, I can't really see all that's going on around me, even in VR, but I can see that these cars in front they mean business. Look, they're ripping away straight away. Already the car in front of me is pulling away, and I need to get close to them if I'm going to have a chance to stay in the running of this race. I've also got cars that are actually faster than me behind me now, which is always terrifying as we come into the twisty turny bit of Summit Point. Now, this particular corner, you really do have to slam the anchors on as you come round this corner and into these twisty bits. I'm trying to think now, what did Trophi Ai tell me to do? Oh yeah, I need to go steady on the throttle as I come through these various different corners. And this one here, Trophi Ai says I have to do it flat out, but for the life of me, I can't work out how to do that. I really can't. And that's a problem for me in this race and really in this course during this week, is that I can't go flat out on that corner. And that's where cars either get away from me, as you can see in front of me, the cars have got a bit further now, or the cars behind me start to catch me. And really don't want to be caught. And we're into lap 2 now. We don't seem to have lost too many people, which is always nice in a rookie type race. And as we come into T1 again, very tight up the front there, a bit of argy-bargy, a few bumper fender benders, as the Americans would say. But they're through, and we're still going on strong. And I am a little bit closer, but no, we've got those corners coming up that I'm not very good at. These corners where these drivers in front of me can go flat out. And when they reach those corners, they're going to increase the distance between me and them. And that's a problem for me. Because if we keep doing that over the next 8 laps or so, they are going to be far, far ahead of me by the time we get to the finish. And behind me, you can see the red car is trying to sneak through. He's a good driver, though, so he's not dive bombing me. That is a perennial problem in iRacing, dive bombing, where people just go for the corner and they don't accept the fact that the car in front might also want to use that bit of track for driving on. They just go for it anyway. We come down now. The red car gets past me on that fast corner and he's through, but we're into this straight now, and this is a great straight for drafting cars in front. And drafting is where you use the force of the car in front to kind of suck you in, to give you extra speed. And here I'm doing that, and I'm coming past him again to regain that place that he just took from me on that last corner. And I'm just going for it. I'm really getting so excited now. You can hear it in my voice, kind of. And it was an exciting moment because he overtook me and I took that place back, and I'm really pleased with it. And the car behind him, behind that red car, is a purple car. He is drafting the red car as much as possible. I'm kind of hoping that those two are going to get into a fight with each other and then leave me alone. But iRacing, nothing is certain. And now we're back at the twisty, turny section again as we go into all of these tight turns. And I'm thinking of all the things that I learned through Trophi Ai on how to handle the throttle coming through these corners, how to avoid using excessive amounts of brake, and how to maximize my top speed. Still, I can't manage to get the full foot on the floor feeling as I go through that corner. I really don't know why I can't do that. If anybody has any ideas, please comment below, but it's a real problem for me. And now here we are on that straight again. I think the red car is just a bit too far away from me to appreciate any kind of drafting from me, but the purple car is certainly drafting him, and he's trying to come through, seeing if he can get that overtake before T1. I think he's left it just a shade too late, and as we come through, yeah, red just keeps in front of him, and I keep in front of red as we head back down through these corners. This one here, I don't find it too much trouble, but you've got to be careful for it because there's a big sand trap on the right hand side of the track there, and if you mistime it, you end up in there and you lose a lot of time. That car there made a mistake, and I'm past him now, causing some argy-bargy with the red car as we head down the phenomenally fast part of the course. Hammer on the brakes when we get into this corner and go round. Red is trying to sneak past me again through the inside there, but I'm maintaining my driving line, I'm keeping my cool, and I keep my place. How long I can do that, I don't really know. It's touch and go. That red car is a fast driver. He's faster than me, just by a shade, but that might be all that it needs to get that place over me. As we come now down this straight into this final right-hand corner before we pass the finishing start line, red is now close enough to me to appreciate some of my draft that I'm giving him. Extra speed, lap 5, and here he is coming past me. There's no way I can stop him. He's got a great line now, and he's going to go down the inside of this corner, and he's captured that place for me. And the purple car nearly gets another place from me at all. I don't know whether I was like so shocked that the red car managed to get past me that I forgot about the purple car, probably. And that is one of the things about iRacing is, you know, you've got to worry about the car in front of you, but you should also be thinking about the car coming up behind you and not giving them an opportunity to capitalize on whatever's going on in your race in front of you. That being said, it is always a mistake to drive in your mirrors, because if you're driving in your mirrors, you're not looking in front of you, and that is a recipe for disaster. And now we're into the twisty bits again. I am reasonably good at these parts now. I can get through here with a reasonable amount of throttle and brake control, but it is again just this terrible corner here that everybody else is going flat out through, and I can't seem to manage to do. You see, look, I come off the throttle there again, that green line dipping down. That's costing me time. That's costing me the race. I really need to find a way to focus on my ability to keep my foot on the floor in parts of the track that other people are doing. Because as we come down this straight, look, all of those mistakes have allowed the purple car to get within drafting range of me. He's capitalizing on that now, coming up the inside again. I think he may have left that a bit too late again, but no, he's through and he's joining the red car in front of me. That's a disappointment to me. I thought I was going to be able to hold that place and be able to carry on the race in front of him. But no, the mistakes I'm making on those corners where I'm lifting when I should be keeping my foot on the floor are literally costing me the race, as these cars come up behind me on that straight, draft me and overtake me on that corner. It's a real problem, and if I don't find a solution for it, I'm really never going to be winning races at Summit Point. I'm always going to be trailing these cars that have mastered the ability to keep their foot on the floor through the corner that's coming up now right in front of us. As you can see, purple car is beginning to ease away from me again. He's got his foot on the floor, and look at my green line. Yeah, I'm all over the place. It's a sad disappointment to me. It really is. Now we're coming back down the straight towards the final corner before the start-finish line, and purple car makes a small mistake. He catches a bit of sand there, which slowed him down a little bit, and I'm going to try and see if I can catch him up and get past him, regain that place. It's going to be tricky. He's got the distance on me. Look, we're only a lap since he overtook me, and already he's a second in front of me, and that's because he's able to go round these corners where you need your foot on the floor with the correct accelerator position, and I am not able to do that. And this means that I'm going kind of backwards in this race, gradually pushing myself further down the pile when I should be trying to push myself up the pile. It's heart-rending when I watch this replay back. I see the mistakes I'm making, and knowing that I can't actually seem to find a way to do anything different about it. I've looked at Trophi Ai, I've listened to Mansell AI, and they're all telling me to do the same thing, but for some reason I can't seem to put my foot on the floor and stay on the track. I've tried it a number of times and it never ended well, and just most of the time I ended up in the trees or somewhere strange, where you fall off the map and you end up back at the pits. That's a disappointment. And it's a shame, because a lot of the other corners that I tackle, I think, doing it at the maximum of my ability and gaining time on the cars in front of me on those particular corners. But there are enough corners that I haven't mastered, and that allows the other cars to get further in front of me or to overtake me. Well, as you can see in front, they've got three cars vying for the same position as they're going around the corners together at the same time. I really don't think this is going to end well for them, but if they all crash together, then it obviously will end rather well for me. But that feels a bit mean, doesn't it, that I will win the race or I will get a better position in the race if all of the other cars crash. That's not really the racecraft that I'm looking to pursue at this stage of my iRacing career. I am really worried about that car coming up behind me, though, because if I let him through, then I will drop down to 8th place, and I don't want to be there, because I'm probably not going to get any iRating gain at all. At the moment, I'm only at 6th place, and an estimated iRating gain of about 7. Well, this is iRacing, and things can change in the blink of an eye. There, look, and purple car went wide into the gravel trap, lost a lot of speed, and I was able to slip past him. Not only that, but he created a roadblock effectively for the car behind me. So it was a win-win. And that's good timing, because we've just been given the white flag. This is the final lap of the race, and do or die for me. I'm running in 5th place now. I kind of really want to stay in 5th place. I've got to stay in front of Tom to be able to do that, and he really wants to get past me. He's glued to my back bumper as we go through these bends, and I've got cars in front of me that are kind of slowing me down a little bit, not because they themselves are slow drivers, but because they're really sort of arguing amongst themselves to be able to get through the corners. And I think also the orange car in front of the red car is blinking in and out of existence, which is really irritating in iRacing. Hoping really that they were going to solve that with this new device that kicked people off the track if they didn't have a stable connection. But I can see orange car blinking on and off, and that is throwing the red car off his game. He's not really able to overtake him because he can't even see where he is on the track. But orange is now stable enough with his connection for the red car to be able to see him, and he sneaks through on that corner. But I've got purple car really close behind me, and he's drafting me now as we head towards the finishing line. I'm keeping my foot on the floor, hoping that I can't do it, but no, he pips me at the post and beats me by, oh, what a front bumper. Let's have a look at that again in slow motion. And yeah, you can see, look, he's not that far in front of me, but it's enough to gain him that position. And I drop down to 6th place and he gets 5th. Well, just being pipped at the post there by car number 8 was, of course, not the result I was looking for, but man, did I enjoy this race. As I said before this race began, the training I am putting in now, the skills that I am slowly acquiring, are not leading to me being an instantly fast driver. I think those expectations are always going to lead to disappointment. But I am starting to find that my driving is becoming more competitive, that I'm starting to hold my own on the track, and that I get overall, and more importantly, far more enjoyment from sim racing than I have ever done. And that alone makes this process worth the effort.
Life is a journey, not a destination.
Conclusions. At first glance, it looks as though Trophi Ai hasn't made much difference to my lap times, but lap times aren't everything. And when I look at my favourite race again and remember how much fun I had, I do feel Trophi Ai has made a remarkable difference to my iRacing experience. How much of a difference is difficult to say. Initially, I did find using Trophi Ai to be not as complete an experience as using Garage 61, which I could use to share my telemetry with my friends and get valuable feedback from them. Learning from an AI is cool and often insightful, but there is no discussion to be had after the fact with an AI. And I can't ask, for example, the AI for greater clarity on explaining a particular corner. Mansell AI just lays out how the corner should be taken for the best possible lap time, and you have to do your very best to figure out how that advice can be best implemented into your own personal driving style. That's not to say I found Trophi Ai to be a negative experience. The overlays with the beeping for the ideal braking point worked much better for me than the voiced AI, and also better than the video playback showing the telemetry from a much faster driver. But that being said, using the overlays can be tricky to get used to, as trying to keep an eye on the displays and not miss the steering angles takes some concentration. And for me, when driving at speed, concentration is needed to keep the car on the track. After a while, I did get into this method of learning the track and eventually felt like it was pushing me in the right direction of improving my overall racecraft. And I soon figured out from the beeps where my braking markers should be on the track, allowing me to take that knowledge into a live race where I don't have these overlays displayed. That for me smacks a little of cheating, so I don't want to do that. However, all of this AI technology couldn't help me this troublesome corner where telemetry and Mansell AI and the video all told me to keep my foot flat on the floor and go through at maximum speed. But there was no guidance on how to do this without losing control, because it's a pre-programmed AI and it doesn't take follow-up questions. Practice, I guess, is the answer to this problem. Overall, my results may not have been as good as I would have hoped, but I think this is an issue of how much time I had this week to practice the track. Real life does get in the way, and the new track every 7 days on iRacing is always going to lead to this sort of problem, especially if you can't devote as much time to racing as you might want. Next week, I'm hoping to race the Production Car Challenge at the Roval, which is one of my all-time favourite tracks to race on, again with the MX-5. And this time I plan to use a combination of Garage 61 and Trophi Ai to see if that helps out with any troublesome corners I might encounter at the Roval. Let me know in the comments if you use Trophi Ai to help you improve your racecraft, and if you do, what do you think of it? In the meantime, I hope you found this video helpful, and until the next one, race clean, and I'll see you on track. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. Click the little bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos.